Hello, welcome back to LiveNoding. In this episode, I'll be looking into the basic of Sverchok, but there's kind of like a hidden hotkeys with Sverchok. We know that if we create like a node 3 and Shift A will give us all these lists of nodes inside categories, and you can take a look of them. They are all actually kind of arranged based on the most low level and goes up. Although maybe this number should be on the top. So we have like generators. This is curved surface that should be inside one categories because it's related to curve. And we have this number, vector, matrix, quaternion, color, etc. And then the visualizations. A better way to look at them is actually by tapping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6. No, nothing. So 1 give you like numbers. Maybe you want to have like random numbers. You want to easing the number or make like Fibonacci. Vector should be like random vector somewhere. If you memorize some of the nodes, then it's easier. For example, let's say we want to make a circle. I tap 2. There's a generator, of course. We have circle. And if I want to tap view, I tap 4 and there's a viewer. There's a viewer nodes. So viewer is only giving you the view. And then you can bake it. Okay, this is the real object. Or you can tap 4 and you can have mesh viewer. There's all kind of other viewer like to generate curve, typography. The one I use a lot is mesh viewer. So I just select this and tap V to connect them. So we have this live circle. So to transform, there's a scale, for example. You have these vertices, you can connect the vertices, you can scale over here with a multiplier. So with the multiplier, you can of course have like a random number. You can plug this in. Okay, so that's kind of fun to do. So number 4, some of the nodes is so useful that I just memorize it. So number 5 is actually when you get into things like presets, monad. Let's see what else can we use here. So we have other viewer like stethoscope to give you the list of all the data. We have things like, see, I usually use, in the end, I just use this menu, spacebar menu, because I can just symmetrize the mesh, for example. So we can symmetrize this circle data and connect it. And we have mirror, like a mirror, okay. So I think this is kind of interesting. So mirror file save as Sverchok basic. If you want to connect this, if you want to do instancing, of course you pass it to geometry nodes. That's the common ways to work, I think. With this guy, if I want to make like variations, I can randomize the seed. I can use range number. Maybe just plug this in. Okay, needs to be integer. Okay, now we have a bunch of collections. I could create a new collections and just pass it into that collections, and I can simply hide it. And with geometry nodes, of course you want to random scatter, etc. You can I still think Sverchok one is actually much faster. So I have a bunch of points over here. It might doesn't have the normal, but you can quickly instance using collections, turn off whole collections. Yeah, something like that. The rotations might be, you might be able to align it. Okay, align it to positions. Okay, whatever. It doesn't have the normal. You can make adjustment over here. Randomize further. So it's if it goes into the geometry nodes with the instance, of course it's becoming a single object. You can separate them yourself, I think. You can always add modifier. There should be a way to separate each objects again from here, or you just bake it and separate them. So what else I want to talk about? So yeah, Sverchok is, I think, is much more advanced than geometry nodes. However, geometry nodes is more like built-in inside Blender, so that's also a big plus. With Sverchok, this object is, for example, live objects. You can always make changes, and it's gonna update to the instance. I think that's really big thing. Except that this object perhaps doesn't have UV for now. So if you use like a shaders that's not using the UV, then it should be fine. So yeah, so Sverchok, if you're just beginning into Sverchok, you can start by playing around with this, and then use like things like stethoscope. You can get stethoscope from number 4 because it's a viewer, I think. Yeah, you can plug this in and you can see, okay, this thing is generating list of numbers. And Sverchok also is super useful. It has number 2 generate things like n-gon, or maybe you want to have box. Cylinder is actually also really powerful. So you can use mesh viewer, create a cylinder, and this cylinder is pretty interesting as well. You can just plug in random number. I've done this in the past. Cylinder is one of those power nodes. You can have this very quickly. So I'm randomizing the cylinder shapes using this value into the meridian, and you can have variations. And yeah, you can plug in this random number also. This goes into the seed. Maybe in this case we need to split the value. Okay, maybe not. Anyhow, don't worry about that for now. So this is what we have so far. If you want to go something deeper, like you can use something like maybe Lloyd 2D, and you have like plane, grid plane, and it's gonna give you some kind of result. Sverchok actually makes a lot of this complex thing becoming pretty easy and accessible. So this makes this kind of result. Let's connect the dot. KD3 closest path, yeah, edges, closest edges works also. Try closest path. So this vertices goes in, we get the edges we can connect. So it's gonna generate path that's covering most of the edges. It should cover everything. Let's increase the distance. Okay, so yeah, it's basically like this, and you can rearrange and sort the vector based on connection. This is also kind of old school trick. Pretty cool. So lots of things in Sverchok that's really like beyond your imaginations. Maybe some of these will eventually become part of geometry nodes. Some of them are really advanced. Actually, the curve surface, this is also something that's worth looking into. It's generating curve, and you see the output is different. So you want to output also like curve object. So curve viewer. Yeah, it doesn't take. Okay. Evaluate curve. Okay, so I was wrong. We need to evaluate it. So this creates some kind of ellipse. Well, anyway, there's a lot in Sverchok. You have to go through everything and play around with it. There's like maybe 100 times more nodes than geometry nodes. Well, maybe 50 times. So this is more like in object level. This one is less. There's enough for you, even though you're like, if you're not like an expert. Not I'm also not an expert, because lots of technical stuff is not. It's really hard to understand unless I try to do a little bit of research. So I don't have all the answers to the nodes. I think some artists like maybe like Erins or Benny Gofferts, they're a little bit more advanced. But yeah, just give it a try yourself with Sverchok add-on. It's gonna really adds a lot to your ability to create things using nodes. Okay, so there you go. Hopefully you find this interesting and useful. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.